Oh, such a dramatic change. What happens? Oh, man. Jeez. Oh, man, look at that physical trauma. Want their children to fulfill the dreams they never got to live out because of limiting circumstances, language barrier, lack of privileges, of course. That's why many parents work hard, sacrifice everything so that their children could have a better life. But through that sacrifice comes with tremendous expectations in a lot of cases. Hello friends, my name is Benoit Kim, a UPenn educated licensed psychotherapist and your favorite yapper. Welcome to my detailed psychological analysis of Your Lie in April episode 1. This is a new series after finishing the Apothecary Diary season 1, and don't worry, we will continue season 2 after Freedom Friday ends. Assassination Zero, Tirtana's Wexiang, Samsonian Helixi, Jin Ichimaru, Roxy Love, and Maxi Tissi are the sponsors of today's video. Appreciate your support. Shout out to you guys. Remember, you matter. You are worthy. Sit back. I hope you enjoy my detailed yapping, and welcome back. Also, I don't know anything about this show. It's always a blind reaction per usual, except that the show is pretty sad and it's about classical music. So we'll see. Very colorful start. Ooh, cherry blossom. So far, very wholesome show. Meow. So far, very, very wholesome and very uppity. So we'll see. Oh, whoa, whoa. Wow. Oh, dang. Wow. Ooh. What? Oh. I was like, wait, I thought he was listening to a different genre of music while he's also going to play piano. How is that? Is that possible? But I guess he was just getting to his focused tunnel vision flow states through preparation so that he could write songs before performing piano, sounds like, or looks like. Ooh, home run. Dang, crushed it. Was that the girl that little girl in the audience seat watching the seemingly male protagonist reminiscing or having a flashback about his performance when he's younger? Because they have the same hair and similar eyes. Is that the same character? And so far, the show is very upbeat, very cheerful. But again, I did hear that the show is really sad. So is it a trap or so far so good? That's impressive home run. Respect. Hi and bye. Dang. Oh, is that blood? Oh shit. Did not expect that. It's like hit and run with car accidents. This was also hit and run, but with baseball. Jeez, that's a lot of nosebleed. Oh my gosh. Boy, you need help? Oh, they're friends? Okay. I'm a little bit concerned. Of course, I have my tissue box ready because those sneaky onion slicing ninjas are definitely gonna revisit. But so far, I feel like the happier, more wholesome, more comedic the beginning is, the harder the setup and the more sad it's gonna be. So man, I'm just getting myself emotionally prepared for this.
また僕が謝るのか。あと破損届も。
Oh. What?
危ないじゃない、もう。指怪我したらどうすんのよ。
True.
別にいいのに。家が隣同士、幼馴染同士。ところ構わず求め合うね。おしどり夫婦。
Also, if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you're not new, I appreciate your support as always. And you know I like to pick out on symbolisms, foreshadowing, and even predictions. In passing, the male protagonist looks like, I don't know his name yet, he's like, so what if I get cut? As the other female friends slash maybe protagonist stopped him from picking up the glasses. He said, so what if I get hurt? I sense a tone of aloofness and that he doesn't really care for his well-being. He doesn't care for the fact that he might get injured. Is that a foreshadowing of potential depression and sadness and emotional trauma? Because if you really care about yourself, and you know, paper cuts are really painful. And with that, the same token, getting sliced from glasses is also extremely painful, especially in your fingers. And he's a prodigy pianist. Piano is probably his main identity, his main music. So as a pianist, what's the most valuable assets, even invaluable assets? Your fingers. And he's saying that, what if I get cut? What if? So what if my fingers get sliced? Against his assets, with the music and the main instruments of piano, something sus. Sounds like there's definitely a lot of trauma and maybe even depression going on. So.
土足で入るな、渡り。1時間だけで済んでむしろ良かったじゃん。
That's a lot of yapping.
1時間付き合う。
Okay, so it looks like the guy who took a picture of them, next door neighbors, childhood best friends, hobby, wife and husbands, and the girl that was outside that initially hit the baseball sounds like their core friends group. Sounds like they're like the main social circle. First of all, it is not my fault that I happen to be too powerful and too skilled of a baseball player. It's actually the fault of the school's building being in the way of the projection of my baseball. Such a disgrace. What a pity. It's the building's fault. It's not my fault. Why were you in my way, school? Yo, that's a wild reframe. Yo.
窓から女の子が応援してくれたりするしさ。
ああ、はいはい。
けど、どう？付き合う。
私も。
だい。
ダメだ。
聞いてない。しかし。
When a girl is focused on snacks and food, stop talking. She's already fully immersed and planning on stocking up snacks and whatever treats. Of course, that's a general and obviously it's a joke and a general statement. But my wife, right, when she's hungry, she gets hangry, and so do I. But her hanger is extra pronounced. And when she's focused on making dinner or getting food or snacks, I don't interact with her. There's no point. At that moment, in her internal world, in terms of apex pyramid, on the top is not me, her husband. It's snacks that she's about to devour into her stomach. And then it's probably my two cats, and then it's probably me.
軽いもんさ。生まれた時から子守りしてきたから慣れちゃったよ。遠足で釣り場。
Wow, golden hour.
僕一人っ子なのに世話の焼ける姉貴がいるみたい。優しいな、昴生は。
どこがよ。
So far, the main character with the glasses, he's very expressive. Affect, definition right here. Affect is a clinical term, is a display of our emotions facially. We call that affect. So if someone has like a flat affect, means they're usually depressed, and flat affect is usually a feature and a byproduct of clinical depression. So far, he's displaying pretty expressive facial expressions, a lot of congruence. affect, clinically speaking. So maybe I spoke prematurely. Maybe he does not suffer from depression. And maybe he just, as a, like a boyish boy thing, didn't really care about finger injuries, but still a little bit sus because he is a pianist, right? So we'll see. And obviously I love the golden hour.
とけよ。優しいやつは損するって決まってんだ。
Quick yapping. The friend just said, you know what they say, the nice guys are doomed to finish last. And I'm sure all of us have heard that saying. And obviously, we have a lot of international audience. Shout out to wherever you're watching this from. In the US, it is a saying, nice guys finish last. I'm sure there's some sort of a similar universal sayings in other cultures, but let me know otherwise. Nice guys finish last is not true. However, it is a stereotype. And a lot of stereotypes are grounded in certain valid statements and experiences. But of course, stereotypes are bad because you're categorizing, you're putting entire population into a single box. We humans are not tools. We are not screwdrivers. We are not hammers. We cannot be put into a box. We are complex, multifaceted human beings. We are dynamic. We expand. We are larger than the sum of our parts. That's why stereotypes are bad. But to that saying, nice guys finish last, the reason why it became a stereotype is because a lot of nice guys suffer from people-pleasing tendency. I myself, for one, I'm a recovered people pleaser, as I like to say. And if you really deconstruct, peel back the layers like an onion, and dig deep into the core of people pleasing is not the same as helping people. You might be like, wait, Benoit, the outcome is the same. The behavior, the action looks the same. So what's the difference? Helping people, when you're being altruistic or based on people's circumstances, you're doing that based on people's needs to support whatever they need. You're helping people for their sake, simply put. But people pleasing, although behaviorally they look similar, it's fundamentally different. Because at the core of people pleasing, it's actually selfishness. What do I mean by that? And again, I don't mean to offend anyone because I myself struggled with people pleasing tendency for many, many years. As a Korean American, as the oldest son with a younger sister, growing up in a single mother household, I was taught to put myself last, to be entirely selfless, to be a provider, protector. That's why I sacrificed my own well-being, my own wellness, my own mental health for the sake of other people. And then that became people pleasing over time. But the reason why I said people pleasing at its deepest core is selfish is because you're trying to please everyone so everyone can like you. You can be liked by anyone and everyone. Because at its core, we are afraid of rejection, disappointment, and being disliked. Because unless this is a thought process, right? Obviously, it's a general simplified framework. This is the thought process. Unless I do what they ask me to do, by pleasing them, they're going to dislike me. And if they dislike me, means I'm not worthy to be loved. I'm not worthy to have friends. So therefore, even if I don't want to do something, I'm going to force myself for the sake of pleasing other people because deep inside, it's a self-preservation. So maybe that's a better reframe than selfishness, because obviously selfishness has a lot of negative connotation. So I meant it as like a self-preservation survival mode. But let that sink in. We are people-pleasing, doing the things we don't want to for the people we don't really care for, generally speaking, by trying to protect yourself. But through the people-pleasing process, what do? We lose a piece of ourselves. We are denying ourselves the autonomy, the liberty, the freedom of doing things for our own sake, because this is our lives. So over time, people-pleasing becomes a part of our nature, second nature, and we become resentful, bitter, all that. And obviously bitterness and resentment and a lot of passive aggression spill over. And it's very, very toxic and destructive with relationships. This is the reason why nice guys finish last became a trope and a stereotype. Because so many nice guys suffer from people pleasing. But then after a while, when the resentments get to a tipping, boiling point, what do? They explode. They implode. They cut out everyone. And they're like, you guys are using me. I'm being used. You guys don't care for me, but you guys care for me because of all the things I do for you guys. And this is a reason why when we want to do something or when we're doing favors or doing things for other people that we care about or strangers, we need to be authentic and true to our intention and feelings. Otherwise, we get resentful. And resentment is a big, big no-no and super unhealthy. That's a big yap, but I'm really, really, really passionate about people pleasing because I suffer for that for so many years. Is that his girl? Whoa. Watari. Nice guys. Okay.
女の敵だよ
Oh, that's kind of harsh. She's only being harsh because that speaks to their closeness, relationally, interpersonally. Think about it. When you meet someone for the first time as strangers, you're very polite. You're respectful. You don't cuss in front of strangers that you just met. Why? Social norm, social courtesy. Makes sense. But with your closest group of people, you show them your weirdest quirks. You use profanity to left and right. At least I cuss like a sailor. I'm also a veteran with the US military for about 6 years. So I cuss a lot more, not on the channel, but in my personal life with my wife or with my really, really best friends. Why? Because just like people pleasing, I want to be truly authentic to who I am. Because I know I'm being accepted and they're going to accept me unconditionally for me, not for the fake facade, the mask I put on. That's why she's like, woman needs to avoid him, Watari, like a plague, because that speaks to their closeness, the emotional, psychological safety that's established within the social circle. Very wholesome.
昴生は
Kosei is
好
a
きな子
character.
いないのミワが言ってたよ好きな人がいると全部がカラフルに見えるって
True. Again, this is not a neuroscience channel, but obviously as a licensed psychotherapist, I love neuroscience because you cannot silo and segregate neuroscience, aka our brain health, from our mental health, psychology, and even physical health. There is actually scientific truth to her statements. When you're in love, the world becomes more colorful. That's neurologically accurate. Because with the spike of oxytocin, which is generally known as a love chemical, we derive oxytocin with newborn babies, when newborn babies are being held by a primary caregiver, mother, father, grandparents, anything in between. When you cuddle with your significant other, you also derive a massive spike in oxytocin. So it's generally known as a love/cuddle hormone, although there's a lot more to that. When our brains experiencing a spike in oxytocin, it actually impacts our visual cortex. Why? Because our brain, right? It's right here. Visual cortex, auditory cortex, all this are with a default brain network, they're all part of the same like brain structure. So our visual cortex actually gets impacted by oxytocin and the world does feel more colorful, more vibrant. That's why after like a great cuddle session or being really intimate, deeply, meaningfully intimate, experiencing emotional closeness, having a deep hug with your close friends, with your family, with your loved ones, you feel this warm and bubbling feeling, but also your perceptions of the world feels warmer, more soothing, more colorful. So it's very accurate scientifically.
僕を好きになる人なんか
Oh, jeez,
目が光ってない
Jeez.
私たち10
14, okay.
常識論なんとなくわかるでしょ輝いてないの
There's no
思春期なんだから
sparkle.
ピカーッとピカーッ
He's like, no one's gonna fall in love with me. That speaks to a few things. One, maybe my suspicion of his depression is valid, but we'll see. Two, he has either low self-esteem or he comes from a very high achieving, very, very like rigid, rigorous family household where he doesn't have a lot of free time or even autonomy or free will to do what he wants, like dating, pursuing romantically, and so on. Because obviously I come from a high achievement household. My mom used to be a tiger mom. For you guys who know that concept, if not, definitely share a tiger mom. Our parents usually it's very common in Asian households, very authoritarian, achievement first, do whatever it takes. Who cares about mental health? But as I like to say, my mom retired, and she's like a retired tiger mom because all her tiger fangs kind of fell out. And we've gone through a lot of family therapy together, me and my mom, and we have reconciled, and I've healed through a lot of my childhood trauma as a result of my tiger parenting and achievement mindset. But I was similar. I was so consumed by schoolwork, grades, achievements above all else. I didn't really have a lot of free will or even option to do what I wanted to do, dating or otherwise. So that could be a possibility for him. And he suffers probably from imposter syndrome or inferiority complex because, again, living and growing up under tiger parents, even if you're great, you never feel like you're enough. Nothing you do ever feels like it's enough. Nothing we do feels like we can never satisfy our parents, tiger parents in this case.
椿の目は輝いている。
Aww.
椿の目にはきっと風景がカラフルに見えてるんだろうな。
Yeah, you see, that's the stark contrast that I talked about momentarily ago before my prolonged yapping. The main guy protagonist, more emotionally restricted, not as expressive with all the analysis I talked about. But the female character, she's more expressive. Sparkle, we are teenagers, lit up, too dark. Do you see the stark contrast? This dichotomy? Restrictions, more monotones, more expressive, open, more raw, more authentic. It's very, very interesting dynamic so far.
僕とは違う。
Oof. Unlike
お
mine.
父さんはいつ頃帰ってく
He said that I bet everything through her eyes are colorful, unlike mine. What is that? Is that a foreshadowing for him to display his internal landscape, his internal world, his worldview from his eyes? It's not colorful. What does that mean? It's colorless? Interesting. Because obviously colors are also very powerful visual storytelling techniques to depict how we're feeling the inside. Just like weathers are usually portrayal of how we feel the inside as well, right? Storms mean sadness and so on.
1ヶ月か2ヶ月。
Wow.
まだわかんないんだ。
Business trip.
仕事先の都合で変わるからね。
だよね。
何かあるときは椿んちにお願いしてるし、一人も慣れちゃったしね。じゃあ、また明日。
He said, I'm used to being on my own. So the dad is away on business trip, makes sense. Is this a single father household? Where is his mom? He said, I'm used to being alone. Interesting. Oh, a lot of prizes and trophies stuffed away in a box. Won't yap too much, but I think my suspicion of his depression and his struggling emotional state and a lot of pending trauma that's yet to be revealed is valid. Because look at the disarray his house is in. All his stuff is stuffed away in a box, is very dusty, disorganized, looks like no one's been home in a while. It's like screaming out loneliness and social isolation through the screen. Even the music, background music, is a lot more sad and somber.
母さん。
What is that? Oh, here we go. So the mom passed away. And that's why it's a single parent, single father household. Man. All right, getting myself emotionally ready. Man. Rest in peace. That's really rough.
ミワが言ってたよ。
The background music is amazing. Of course, we have to mute it for copyright's sake. And feel free to join our Patreon family for unedited exclusive content for music and all that. But the music is amazing, graceful, but also very, very sad and sombering. It's a change in theme, change in tone, and I'm sure it symbolizes change in pace of the story development because we're about halfway through episode 1. Oh, music is amazing.
色づき始めたの。
でも、
Oh shit.
鍵盤のように。
Oh, his world is gray. It really is colorless. Man, oh, it's monotone. It feels lifeless. Again, colors are very powerful storytelling technique, right? And that's a very common and also powerful technique that you can see in silent voice, even Bocchi the Rock. Again, no spoilers, but those are the things I've analyzed. And I analyzed in-depthly about the colors. But same here. Colorlessness, it feels bleak. And bleak represents hopelessness clinically. Oh, such a dramatic change. What happens? That is the girl.
11歳の秋僕は
So it looks like he experienced like a psychological emotional breakdown on the stage after performing flawlessly in the beginning. And I'm guessing that breakdown was caused or at least influenced by, again, suspected tiger parenting, achievement mindset, nothing's ever enough, his own self-criticism, feeling nothing because that's the environment he grew up in. And a lot of prodigies suffer from this. Because again, I'm not a parent. I'm a cat dad, but I'm not a human parent. As a parent, when you notice how gifted your child is, whether it's art, music, sports, anything in between, of course you want the best thing for them if you're like a decent parent, since there's a lot of shitty parents out there, let's be honest. Of course you want the best thing for them. And the more gifted and talented your child is, what do? You push them. Especially that's common in Asian culture. You push them to be great. Because being good isn't good enough when your child is so gifted, especially on a prodigy level. You want them to be great. But being great, achieving greatness comes with unspeakable sacrifices, both visible and invisible. And so many prodigies, after years of grueling and almost borderline cruel training, upbringing, conditioning, has so much trauma. And they usually suffer from those breakdowns. Panic attacks is extremely common in a lot of prodigies, depending on the parenting style. Of course, every case, every family is different. And many of them, after a certain age, usually legally 18, when they can make their own legal decisions, they stop doing what they were crowned as prodigies because of all that trauma, psychological and emotional suffering. So I'm guessing those are the reasons why he had an emotional breakdown. Despite performing so well at a prodigy level, it's probably perfectionism. It's probably instilled expectations by his whoever the tiger parents is. I'm not really sure if it's the dad or the mom.
ピアノが弾けなくなった
He says I could no longer play piano. Is that because of the trauma or is it because of something else? He's still writing music though. Okay. Music notes. Sister, bro, brother, man, brethren, you just gave him a concussion recently. And now you just hit him with a baseball bat in the back of his skull? Yo! Again, obviously they're best friends, but jeez. And also, I think underneath all her cheerfulness and borderline violence tendency, I sense, again, of course, I could be overanalyzing and overthinking as usual, but that is the brand. Welcome to my channel, right? Underneath all that facade, I sense tenderness, thoughtfulness, and consideration. I think, again, if they're best friends, and sounds like they are childhood best friends. That's what she was at the audience. And as the other guy said, they were next door neighbors, they're childhood best friends, the hobbyist husband and wife as a joke. She knows him really, really well. I'd argue with that level of history, she probably knows him as much as he does, or even better, because maybe she's more intuitive. Her intuition's better. She's more emotionally aware. Because of all that history and context, I think she knows that he is suffering from maybe grief from losing his mother, although I don't know when his mom passed away exactly. But she knows, the bottom line is she knows he's struggling, suffering from this invisible suffering, invisible struggle, invisible pain. So I think she's just trying in a comedic and borderline violent way with that aggro. Underneath that aggression is tenderness, is care. She's trying to cheer him on. She's trying to encourage him. This is our last 14th spring. Let's do something. Stop being so boring. And the fact that he is in an empty classroom by himself, listening to music that is not of classical music, what does that say? he's disconnected from his passion, piano. But deeper than that, he's disconnected from himself and the world. He is all alone. He feels utterly lonely. And I think she's picking up on that.
あれグースハウスの新曲今 CM で流れてるやつうるさいな
What? It's a famous group, I guess. Okay. It's interesting. Again, I like to pick up on little things. Did you see that B-roll? Why did the transition in that episode in the last 2 seconds just flash through 2 different high school couples or middle school, or again, whatever. I don't know if it's middle school or high school. The camera just zoomed in on 2 separate couples holding hands, leaning on the locker, walking down the hallway. Because that's the beauty of youth, romance, hobbies, sports, right? You contrast that with the main character's isolation, lifelessness, colorlessness. I think that was a very intentional, symbolic choice by the writers in the studio to show, hey, look at the difference. He's in this vibrant school setting, so much social possibility, yet he is all alone in a classroom. Until obviously the female friends, the best friends, visited him, of course.
じゃあ予定あるの
No, he has no
同
plans.
じクラスの女の子にね渡りを紹介してほしいって頼まれてさ私とその子と渡りの
Even the body language, the female characters, the girls, her foot's like moving, she's like tapping, she's like her body's moving, it's expressive. It's emotion with the music because the music's pretty lively. Whereas the main character, his body language is still monotone, like his worldview. His head is not moving, his fingers not tapping, his leg is not moving. Do you see that? Openness by her and constriction by him. So many symbolism, even with their body language, facial expression, the colors. This is a great show. I could already tell it is a masterpiece.
どうせ重い空気になるんだから見たいならちょうどいい
True. Double date?
それに
He's too depressed. Obviously, think about romance right now. Obviously, but maybe
その子
eventually.
はクラシックやってるんだって
Oh,
昴生はピアノやってるんだから共通の話題があった方がいいじゃん
that's cool.
話が詰まった時にさ楽器の話とかできるでしょ
Nice.
僕はピアノはやめたんだもう2年も弾いてない
Oh, he quit playing piano for 2 years, yet he's still writing notes? Does that mean his mom passed away 2 years ago? Like, is there I'm just obviously speculating. Is there correlation, connection between the mother's passing with that deep, unimaginable grief and him quitting his instrument, which is piano?
聞いてたじゃん音楽室で
あれはバイト
バイト
新譜を耳コピして譜面に起こしてるんだカラオケ用とか
教室でできるの
He pressed on and he resumed playing the song twice. First time when the girl mentions classical music with the other girl. As soon as he heard that, did you see his face? He frowned and he played the music. He has become so intolerant and allergic toward classical music, which I'm sure was his identity, which previously defined him before whatever trauma and most likely grief that caused him to quit playing piano, quit his primary identity as a pianist prodigy. Second time he pressed resuming music was talking about piano, right? Do you see that? That's how much he doesn't want to think about and confront his trauma, his emotional struggle with piano. That's why he's trying to distract himself through music. So even here, music has 2 levels. Level 1, music for most people is therapeutic. That's why music therapy is a thing, as I talked about in the beginning. Music is relieving, and music is such a powerful bridge, avenue to connect people, right? Music, amazing. But for the main character, the guy character, he's actually using music as a distraction because his main background's in classical music, probably represents trauma for him. That's why he's trying to escape by listening to another genre of music.
の確認してた
A
だ
lot of
け
symbolism.
バイトなんて他にいくらでもあるじゃない。に見えるよ。
Let it go.
ピアノ弾いてる後世の方がかっこよかったな。
母の夢だった。世界を飛び回るピアニストに僕を育てること。
Oh, the mom looked like she was suffering from some sort of a terminal stage cancer. She's in a wheelchair with the oxygen tank. And obviously the female friends, you're not letting it go, I'm guessing is pertaining to the mother's passing, the grief. But see, even the way he phrased it, it wasn't my dream. It was my mother's dream for me to become a world-class pianist. In other words, it was his mother's dying dream. That's why he probably poured the entirety of himself to pursue the dream, not for his own sake, but for his mother's sake. And can you blame him for that? Of course not. I'll probably done the same thing. Man.
教教室を営んでいた母のレッスンは毎日何時間も叩かれながら
Oh,
怒鳴られながら泣いても許して
jeez.
は
Oh, man, look at that physical trauma. At least in the United States, I know the domestic violence, family abuse, child abuse laws are more loose. In Eastern Asian cultures, unfortunately, they're still years away from catching up to the American standard. But obviously, as a mandated legal reporter, I report child abuse, adult abuse, elderly abuse to like Child Protective Services, CPS, at least in California. Anytime there's scars, visible scars left on a child's face, it is a reportable offense. We have to report it because we have to break the cycle, the vicious cycle. We're not reporting to punish the parents. We're reporting to save children's lives, to interrupt their trauma cycle, to try to prevent them from suffering from additional 10, 20 years of trauma down the road. The amount of facial and physical injuries he has definitely constitutes child abuse, 100%. But exactly like I said, he was beaten, scolded, taking lessons hours on ends. It's clear that the mom was a tiger parent, and I'm sure whatever terminal stage cancer she suffered from exacerbated her violent tendency, her tiger parent tendency. Why? Because so many tiger parents, whether your child is gifted or not, to my earlier commentary, so many parents, actually not just tiger parents, again, this is a general blanket statement. So many parents want their children to fulfill the dreams they never got to live out because of limiting circumstances, language barrier, lack of privileges, of course. That's why many parents work hard, sacrifice everything so that their children could have a better life. But through that sacrifice comes with tremendous expectations in a lot of cases. I think similarly here, because the mom had operated a music school, and again with her terminal stage cancer, she knew and she knows that she cannot achieve this dream. She will never become a world-class pianist or world-class musician. If she were, she probably wouldn't operate a music school. Nothing against that. But does that make sense? It's her unfulfilled dream being crushed upon the child, the baby main character.
あなたは私の代わりにヨーロッパ
Oh, I take that back. Okay, so I guess the mom, she was a renowned pianist in Europe. Damn. So it's not that she wants him to fulfill her unlived dream, but rather she wants him to and continue. She wants him to continue her legacy. But of course, we do not get to dictate our legacy. Legacy is literally determined by the impact we leave behind. So much trauma. Oh
母さ
man.
んが喜んでくれるなら
Oh. Oh. Through the child abuse plus tiger parenting, all the trauma I talked about, in addition to that, the child, he is also suffering from people pleasing, which is a comment I made earlier. But it's not just the people that he's trying to please. He's trying to please his mom because I'm sure he knows that she's dying. Hey, if this makes you happy, mom, if me going through this cruel, abusive situation can make you get better, make you healthier, make you stand up on your feet, I will do whatever it takes. That's the innocence. That is the wholesome nature of a child's unconditional love for their parents. Parental love is not unconditional. That is bullshit. For some parents, yes, if they're great. But for many parents, it is not unconditional. That's in theory. It's idealized. Like I said, if your child is gifted, a lot of parents have unhealthy, idealized conditions and strings for them to be great. But always a child's love is unconditional toward their parents because they are the embodiments, representations of purity, innocence.
いよいよヨーロッパのコンクールを
Oh
視野に入れ
man,
た
sad.
3年前
Oh fuck.
だそれでもしがみついているのはきっと
Oh.
僕には何もないから
He has nothing else because piano became his sole identity. As I talk about in a lot of my series, what we do cannot define who we are, and who we are cannot be limited to what we do. This is why he's going through this existential crisis at age 14. He lost his identity. His identity died when his mother passed away. And think about the complexity of trauma. I can already diagnose him even with the information so far. Of course, we need more clinical data. But even now, since this is an anime, right? Even now with some data, I could already give him complex PTSD just from that alone. Why? We started this episode with a flashback. Flashback, another symptom of PTSD. But what makes it complex? Think about piano and his upbringing. He wasn't just abused physically, emotionally, and verbally by his mom. That's trauma 1. Trauma 2, the abuser is his mom, the one source that should guarantee unconditional love, unconditional safety. That's trauma 2. Trauma 3, all that trauma he endured to make his mom better, healthier, make her happy, she passed away right at the brink, at the precipice, at the cusp of him making to the European competition. His mother passed away. That's 3. And the final trauma, number 4. His mom represents abuse and love. His identity, his dream, but also trauma. Memories that he doesn't want to relive. All that together, packaged into one complex PTSD.
ピアノを除けば僕は空っぽで
Yep. Existential
不細工な
crisis.
余韻しか残らない
Death of his identity. Ah, man. Heaviest episode.
今日も聞こえないか。
Oh, because the friend lived next door. She lives next door. So she can tell when he's playing or not playing.
遅い
This
5
is
分前行動が
hella
なって
sad.
ない誘っておいてこんなものだよななんだ
What is this landmark? What is going on? Oh, cherry blossom though. Oh, nice. Instruments?
ミワが言ってたよ。彼と出会った瞬間、私の人生が変わったの。見るもの聞くもの。カラフルに色づき始めたの。世界が輝き出したの。
What do you call this instrument? I've never really seen the US. I recognize this instrument, and we actually learned this instrument in our music classes in Asia, but I've never seen it in the US. All that to say, what is this instrument called? Because it brings back nostalgia and memories. Handheld piano? Oh, another potential symbolism. As soon, like the last however long was talking about the trauma, the context behind why the main character quit playing piano. And then boom, what is that? What is that context followed by? This mysterious new character, maybe it's the girl he's waiting for, playing this baby piano, right? Coincidence? I think not. She's playing for little kids. And the world the color, did you see that? The colors in the world became more saturated, more colorful, more vibrant, versus like literally seconds before he heard the music. Does that represent his internal landscape where his world went from monotone gray colorlessness for a brief moment, regained colors by listening to this music? Because again, the joy we feel from gray music is contagious. It's lively. It makes us feel alive. You see, colors are more, right? More saturated. Oh, she's crying. Aww. She's in tears. Wow. Emotional and expressive. Again, the opposite of his emotional constriction. So many contrasts in this episode.
涙。
強く吹きすぎちゃった。
Oh.
あと来ないよ。あれ、おかしいな。ラッパじゃないとダメなんだよ。トランペットだよ。ピアニカだもん。
She was trying to summon pigeons? What is she, the pigeon summoner?
Come on, guys, get over here. 音楽に国境や人種や生態は関係ないわ。
True.
みんなでやってみよう。
Aww. Another contrast. She is fully immersed in the aliveness, colorfulness of music, the purity, the pure blissful nature of music. Let's all ganbatte together. It's not the pedigree, it's not the nationality, it's not whatever. Music is supposed to make you happy. Again, you contrast that with the main character's monotone nature, quitting music, the death of his identity. Very powerful. Aww. Obviously, pigeons, another storytelling technique visually. Pigeons obviously represents renewal and hope. Aww. Aww, they're doing it together. Aww. Look at how happy the children are. Look at the happiness in their faces. Oh. This is what music is about. Joy, happiness.
絵になるな。
Yeah. You see that the main character, he just has some blushes. Obviously, it's not because romantically, but because... What does that mean, blushes? Blood flow. Blood is literally flowing through your face. What does that mean? Your brain is activated. Because obviously, our vagus nerves right here, which is like the stress responses, your brain, and our heart, heart is like the motherboard. It's the engine that pumps out blood. Again, very oversimplified physiology, psychophysiology. But he's blushing literally means there's more blood flow. His brain is more activated. It's more awakened because he feels joy. He's feeling emotions, positive emotions, probably the first time in a long time. Aww.
の音楽隊だ。
Aww. You see pigeons again. Pigeons came. Aww. So wholesome. Oh. 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 I bet when he took a camera, the winds, he probably took a picture of like the underskirt or something. Just funny timing. Hence, ecchi pervert, ecchi des. Yo. The best misunderstanding. Oh my gosh, I need this comedic relief from how intense and sad the episode has been. And poor main character, he started this episode with a concussion, got hit by a second baseball bat by the same friends, and now getting just beaten to pulp. He's getting his cheeks clapped, his ass cheeks clapped because of this innocent and just divinely timed misunderstanding. Ah. Yo, oh, so she is the friend that was trying to connect with Watari. What a beautiful comedic coincidence, man.
なあ、椿、その子本当に可愛いのか？女同士の可愛いは当てになんねえからな。お？
で、こちら。
That was like a scene of Beauty and the Beast. Beauty is obviously the blonde hair girl, and the Beast is not because the main character is ugly or whatever beastly, but rather he was beaten to a pulp. His face is all swollen up. Beauty and the Beast. Howdy. Aww. They're sparkling. Ah! Yo!
恥ずかしい。
どれもいいけど、これは友人 A ね。
Yo, not that it matters, but this is friend A. At least he got the first of the 24 alphabets. She didn't call him friend Z because that's the bottom of the totem pole. Friend A, yo. The writing of this show it's just like the perfect harmony, pun intended. Just the tempo, the setup is impressive writing. Yo. Ah. See, this is what youth. This is the beauty of youth. Innocence, misunderstandings, love, just relationships, friendships, joy. Hopefully largely stress-free, but of course, stress is an inherent part of life, right?
ゴーセ先に声かけて抜けなんてあんたも隅に置けないわね。
だから奇跡的な偶然で。
何怒ってんの？
Uh-huh.
脇役引き立て役の友人 A 諦めろ。
誰があんな凶暴女。
Oh,
あそこ。
what is that?
あそこって。
Town
タワ
hall?
ーホール。
Huh?
今からあそこで演奏するの。私バイオリニストなの。
Wow, goosebumps. Classical music. Wow. Wow.
僕はいいよ。
See? He's allergic. He's intolerant. He cannot face classical music, which represents his complex trauma that I talked about.
今行こう。
Oh, look at the sparkle in her eyes. The bliss, pure bliss of music, her love for music. Drag his ass, come on.
14歳の春。僕は。
I'm what? Wow. A final yap before hopefully seeing her performance. Again, the scene before all this comedic interaction is the main character, right? He said, I quit playing piano. And boom. What is this about? I am a violinist. I am a violinist. She proclaimed her identity, her purely blissful identity of, boom, music is my life. That's me. It makes me happy. Again, stark contrasted by he's like, I don't play music anymore. I don't play piano anymore. I don't want to go. I can no longer listen or tolerate classical music. Man, it's like yin and yang, order and chaos in a way, right? It's a perfect harmony and balance between these two characters. Fascinating.
君と走り出す。
Episode 1 is called Monotone Colorful. Oh, colorful, which is the blonde hair, and the monotone, which is the guy character. They're definitely the protagonist. Wow. Yeah, that's enough yapping for today. I yapped for over an hour, And again, like I said, I hope you enjoyed my meaningful yapping. And as always, smash that thumbs up. Support your new favorite yapper. And if you're coming back, I appreciate your support. You guys are the best. And as always, if you guys want access to my early access, exclusive content, and voting power, because all my series are determined and voted by YouTube members and patron family. Always feel free to join us, support the channel, the work we do. As always, I hope you really remember, we matter, we are worthy. At the same time, self-perception matters, just like our main character. Until he recognizes his own self-worth, until he recognizes his love for himself, no amount of external love will fill that void. So I hope you guys recognize that we truly matter, we are worthy. Because as I talked about in the beginning, we are not tools to be confined in a toolbox, but rather we are humans, infinitely complex with infinite possibilities and hope. And as always, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Till next time, peace.